In the last 6 months, I've made $1 million building and selling make.com systems that took me 2 to 3 hours a day to build. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through a plug-and-play make.com system that I've sold for a variety of companies from $10,000 to $15,000. So if you stay with me till the end of this video, not only you're gonna be equipped by the skills, but also the tools and mindsets to essentially build out those systems yourself and also sell them if you're looking to start a sales system agency. Because let's just be honest, guys, like the AI wave is here, and if you're not getting in quickly, and by quickly I mean quickly, you're gonna miss out a lot, just because we are witnessing the same thing that happened in the early 2000s when the internet came out. So as you guys know, the AI automation wave is finally here, and it's not stopping any of us. And consulting with over 500 companies, you'd be surprised how many of them still rely on referrals and word of mouth. And if you could leverage AI and automation to automate their entire lead generation, you're gonna achieve financial freedom just like I did. You do not need any prior coding or business experience. You just know to understand the 80-20 of basically make.com. You have to understand that you can automate as much as you want, but the highest leverage that you have as a sales system agency is you can automate lead generation, because let's just be honest, every business on earth need customers, so it's a direct correlation of them putting food on the table. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into the building. Alright guys, so I am inside of my Whimsical right here, and I'm gonna walk you guys through the system and why it's one of the most powerful make.com systems that essentially can enable you to print money on demand. So let me explain to you how this works. So essentially this automation is you just fill out a form and automatically just scrapes companies hiring for a certain role. And what it does is it scrapes those companies, it finds a decision maker, and it adds them to a beautifully formatted Google Sheet, and then it sends it back to your email or whatever the person that outputted their email in the form. So if you, let's say you have, like, I don't know, you have a client or something, and you're sending them in this form, and they're like, hey, you can just fill out this form of whatever companies you're looking for that are hiring for this exact same job. Think any job, like SDRs, CTOs, I don't know, like hiring managers. And you would send them this form and they would just fill that out. And basically in like 5 to 10 minutes, they would receive like a lead list, fresh lead list with decision makers, job description, the poster full name, the poster email, essentially like a one-line snippet of the job title that this company is actually looking for. So it's one of the highest ROI automations that actually make money, instead of those BS automations that you see on YouTube that don't drive any actual results. So the first step we have is a lead fills out a form. You can essentially use any form. I'm just using Typeform right here, which is basically, this is the UI of it. Get fully verified accurate data using our intelligent AI enrichment workflows. And as you guys can see, it acts like an app, right? With no code. The third thing is we're running an Apify scraper. If you guys know, in this channel, we talk a lot about Apify. And Apify is basically the gold mine of scrapers. There's a 1,000,001 scraper right here. As you guys can see, you can essentially scrape the entire internet just using Apify. They have a variety of scrapers, basically Instagram scrapers, Apollo scraper, LinkedIn scrapers, Apollo scrapers, Amazon scrapers. You can build your own scrapers, but it requires you a little bit of coding. As you guys know, we don't care about coding right here. We just want to make money. So we're going to run an Apify scraper, which is going to be an Indeed job scraper. And then we're going to enrich, find the poster name, the email, the company domain name, and basically add this to an entire Google Sheet that's going to look like this. So this is an example of just one row that I ran. So we have the name, the email, the company, the poster title, the hiring for. So we have the poster title and what they are hiring for. So this is extremely personalized. Posted at, job descriptions, as you guys can see the entire job description that this company actually posted, salary, the location, the company overview link, and also we have the job title snippet. So if you don't have time and you have ADHD, you don't want to read the entire job description, you just read this, right? Another thing that we have is once we scrape all that, we're going to add this to a Google Sheet, like I said, and then we're going to automatically send an email with the lead list ready, right? Which is going to be like this beautiful user experience that the lead or the prospects, whatever the person that outputted their email and the form is going to receive in their email. So let me walk you guys through the system in make.com. So essentially what we have is we have watch input. And what we're doing is we're watching the responses using a Typeform module that you can add right here. Click on Typeform and look for watch responses. It's going to be an instant and asset. Instant and asset in make.com basically just means that the scenario is going to run immediately once we're going to receive the data. Once we receive the input from the whatever the person that actually inputted the data. So the next thing is we have a list response. Now, you want to list those responses just because whenever you're building these sort of systems, I want you to always, instead of like sending back and refilling the form each time when you're testing, you just use this module right here and you drag this puppy right here. You drag it. So when you drag this right here using make, you're just going to essentially start the module from this step right here instead of this one, right? And as you guys can see, this is a clock. So this is not a instant model. That means the scenario is going to run at regular intervals, which is going to be every 15 minutes, or you can essentially put whatever you want, every 1 minute, 2 minutes, whatever you want. So once we do that, if you click on here, you're going to see that there are all of the responses. So you can just essentially just map the last response and just test your system there. So this is why I've implemented the list response. Now, drag this right here, and then what we're doing is we're just running a scraper. Essentially, we're running a scraper called Indeed Job Scraper, and in the backend, it's gonna run. So if I go to Indeed Job Scraper, essentially, I'm gonna look for runs, and it's gonna run right here. It's gonna run automatically in the backend. So once it's gonna run, we have another scenario that's gonna watch the actual runs. So once the scraper is gonna finish scraping, we're gonna wait for it, and then we're gonna have a notification in our second make.com scenario. And then as you guys can see, we see this get data items. We're basically retrieving the data. And if I click on this, you're gonna see dataset ID. So dataset ID is basically the RAM where the scraper basically stores the data. So if I go to Indeed and I click on this run right here, and I go to output, this is the result that we're getting. So the company is hiring for this title right here, extracted salary. But what I want this data to be in make, so I can manipulate it, do a bunch of cool shit with it, like we were gonna do in this scenario. If I go back to storage, the storage is basically has the dataset ID. If I copy this one and I go back, this is the dataset ID right here. I'm just mapping it right here. If I go back and look for data set items, default data set ID. So this is the one, right? So I'm just mapping it right here. And for the limits, I'm just putting 1. I'm just putting 1 because I don't want to run the entire module just for the purpose of this video. I'm just going to put 1. Or let's just do 5 or 10. We're going to see. Okay, so then another thing that we have is we are performing a Google search. So we are performing a Google search with the company plus the hiring manager. Because think about it, guys. What do we want from this system is we want to find the person who actually posted this job. 9 out of the 10 times, those people are actually going to be hiring managers or some sort of talent acquisition guy or a girl. So what we're doing is we're looking for the people that might be the ones that actually posted this job. And the way we do it is we're performing a Google search, and then we're taking that data. Let me go back to my scene. And then we're taking that data, and then we're just feeding in the company name plus a hiring manager, right? Clicking OK. And then the result is going to be HTML. So the same thing. So if I put my process, and I click on, let's say I'm gonna do CEO. So I'm gonna find myself, right? So what I'm doing right now, I'm just using this Google search right here, which is my process plus. Instead of CEO, I'm just putting hiring manager. And why I'm using this module, the next module right here, which is text parser, is essentially what I'm doing the same thing, but I'm getting the data as in HTML, right? It's the same thing. If I can click Control U, I'm basically gonna get the same thing. Now I don't want this. I don't want to like feed the entire HTML to GPT-4 because that's so much operation, that's so much tokens that we want to waste. So I'm essentially using the text parser, and the text parser, what it does is just takes that HTML and returns it into basically a text, which is way more scalable, way more maintainable, and GPT is gonna understand it better. So what I'm doing again is I'm extracting the decision maker. What I'm doing is I'm feeding in that text to GPT, and I'm like, hey, read through the entire text and extract the decision maker details from the scraped web page data. I'm feeding in the text, ensure the decision maker position and company name are included in the company name, and then I'm giving an example. So user, this is an example of the data. And this is the response that I want from GPT, basically an assistant. So name, position, and company. Click OK. And then I'm parsing that JSON because we're going to output the results in JSON. Now, let me explain to you guys what JSON is. Basically, it's just a way to structure data. It's the best way to speak to these models like a GPT-4 or GPT-O or GPT-O Mini or Claude. Is the best way to speak to them using JSON because they understand it better. And they're going to give you much better results using JSON. And the beauty of JSON is when you use make.com, you can essentially map that data as JSON, and it makes it super easy, beautifully formatted that you can add it later on in a sheet or like send it in an email or whatever, output it in like somewhere else in a Google Doc or send it to somewhere. Awesome. So the next thing we have is we're extracting the domain name, right? So what I'm doing is I'm extracting domain name just for some extra layer of safety and peace of mind, because sometimes when we want to enrich this data, we want to have the domain name because where the next step is going to be finding the email. So I'm just using a platform called Find the Email. Now, there are multiple platforms. There are Find the Email. Let me walk you guys through it. So we have Find the Email. Basically like a way where you, basically like a tool where you find emails. If I put my, let's try and use my website right here, find email, and success. Let's see if they're gonna find my email. Pretty sure they will. It's already trusted by Instantly, Lemless, which is crazy. So email found. It's Saad at myoprocess.com. So amazing. So essentially what happens, guys. So there's this platform. There's another one which I like, which is called Any Mail Finder. Now this one is really good, but it's a little bit pricey just because they only charge you for the per verified found email, right? In terms of find the email, they will charge you regardless if they found the email or if they don't. So the next thing is we have a filter right here. So the next filter, guys, is only the system is gonna continue, running until we found the email. So it doesn't make sense to not find the email and basically add the data in the row. So what we're doing is just clicking on add row, and we're basically adding that data right here. And then what we're doing is we're getting a shared link. So it's just a Google module right here that we can just map the file ID and then get a share link because we're going to need that. And then we're downloading the file because we need that. And once you download the file, it's going to be basically binary. You don't have to understand what binary is because even people who invented binary don't understand what binary is. And basically it's just a way, it's just like it's like a language, right? But anyways, so we're downloading the file, and the next thing that we have, we're sending the email. So we're just using a straightforward email module, which is going to be email address, and the subject is going to be your verified lead list is ready. Hey, you're all set. Your verified list is ready. There you go, my process team, and I'm mapping the file right here. Awesome. So as you guys can see, this is the power of basically automation when you want to automate lead generation. So essentially, like, you can click one button and find companies and get access to decision makers who are already looking for the exact service that you are selling or providing. So I hope you found value in this video. This was a request from a lovely person in my community. So yeah, the system is for you. So yeah, hope you found value like I said, and I'll see you in the next video.